Just like most things in life, you gotta work your way up and you can't just jump to the best option available to you. Well, unless you're born into a really rich family and you basically take a fast pass to living your dreams and buying anything you want. But I'm assuming that most of you guys are like me and we aren't in that situation. Unfortunately, credit cards are one of those things where you gotta climb up that ladder and work your way to the highest annual fee cards with the craziest benefits and perks. And every credit card has its unique purpose, annual fees, perks, and benefits that target a certain customer so that way they can maximize the card's value. So in this video, I'll be going over a credit card tier list that I have created to help you better understand your whole situation and how to climb the ladder to get to the credit cards that you eventually want to get to. Because at the end of the day, I just want you to know where you are in that credit card journey and eventually just shine the light on where you need to go next and what you need to do next. I'm basically the map to your Dora. I have so cleverly named each tier list so that way it's easy to follow along and hopefully easy to remember. The credit card ladder tier list is broken down into 5 tiers. And I've recently watched Too Hot to Handle, so each tier list is related to a relationship status. And it kind of makes sense, okay? I mean, it's a stretch, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Tier 1 is the stranger phase. Tier 2 is the friend phase or friend zone. Tier 3 is friends with benefits. Tier 4 is relationship or going out with someone. And then tier 5, the ultimate tier, is you are married with your partner. So let's begin with tier number 1. So tier number 1 is where you're gonna find mostly starter credit cards or student credit cards or even secured credit cards. These credit cards are meant for people who have little to no credit score or those who have accidentally or purposely trashed their credit score and need to start from ground zero all over again. And like the name suggests, if you're in this tier, you're probably a stranger to the whole credit score game, the whole credit card game, and hence it is the stranger phase. Tier 1, you're mostly gonna have no annual fees, no rewards, and no benefits and perks. It's purely a credit card to help build your credit. But this is where most people start, so don't be too hard on yourself. You gotta build up that relationship and get comfortable before you could start getting those benefits and rewards and cooler things that credit cards have to offer. Or like I mentioned before, you might have had a good credit score before all of this, but life happens. Like we just had a pandemic, or we're still in a pandemic. You maybe lost your job, affected your credit score, etc., etc. So don't be too hard on yourself. That's why these cards are here. That's why this whole tier exists, is so that way you could start building your credit all over again. If you're a student with no credit card, then this is probably the tier you're going to be starting off in. And lucky for you, most credit card companies have credit cards specifically meant for students. And a lot of these student credit cards actually give you incentives for having good grades. So if getting good grades to pass the class or to graduate on time wasn't a good enough incentive for you, then maybe these credit card incentives will help you achieve a better grade at school. But what if you're not a student? Maybe you're in your mid to late 20s or early 30s, maybe even 90s, and you want to start building your credit score. Well, there's another set of credit cards that are called secured cards that you could start off with to help build that credit score up. Most credit card companies also offer secured credit cards, but you could also check with your local bank where you keep your checking or savings account with, because they may offer secured credit cards as well. A secured credit card is basically you give a money deposit to the company like Discover, Chase, your local bank, so that way you could get a credit card in return. That money deposit that you put in usually becomes the credit line that the company will give to you. So let's say you give $200 as a money deposit, you're gonna get a $200 credit line to use for your credit card. The deposit you make towards the bank is just so that they have a peace of mind, because keep in mind, you guys are strangers after all. They don't know if you're just gonna charge the card and run away with the money, or charge the card and not pay it back. They don't know. So that's why they have that money as a sort of collateral to take, knowing that you have that $200 to use if you do spend $200 on your credit card. Because let's be honest, if you have little to no credit score, you're kind of sketchy to them. They don't know if they could trust you. You're strangers, right? Remember? Like, what if you don't even know how the credit card works? What if you think it's just free money? Probably not, because you're watching these videos, but let's just say you were. Then at least the bank has that money to use in case you default or don't pay your credit card. And you usually get that money deposit back eventually, so don't worry about that too much. If you know that you are in this tier, please be extra careful and make sure you're paying your credit cards on time. Try not to charge too many things on the credit card. You want to keep that credit utilization down low, especially since you may only have like the $200 to spend. So if I were you, maybe just charge like a gas bill or one meal out each month, just so that way you could get a charge on the card, but also not overload the card too much with too many charges and drive that credit utilization ratio up. Just like relationships with people, you don't want to screw up the first impression with the credit card company. This will only make things harder for you down the line and just delay your way to move up in the credit card ladder. But if you do leave a good first impression and you're slowly building your credit score, then you can move on to the next tier of the credit card ladder. So welcome to tier 2, the friend zone or the friendship stage, whatever you want to call it. You're just friends, but not strangers anymore. You guys know each other, you guys hang out a little bit, you're starting to like each other. But be careful, because if you screw up 1 or 2 times, then you're just gonna screw that relationship and start at the stranger stage or tier 1 all over again. Credit cards in this tier usually have no annual fee as well, but you start to get a little bit of rewards such as cash back. Some examples of cards in this tier are the Amex Everyday card, the Amazon Prime card, Chase Freedom Unlimited card, Chase Freedom Flex card, and the Discover It card. This is also where you start to see small sign-up bonuses that you could get when you actually get approved for these credit cards. This is where if you spend a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time after opening your credit card, you'll earn points or cash back. These sign-up bonuses aren't as crazy or nutty as the ones in higher tiers, but it's somewhere to start off with and start building that relationship with that credit card company. Credit scores in this range are usually around 650 and above, maybe even a little bit below 650, but just to be safe, if you're tier 2, 650 is a good place to be at. This is also where you may be starting your relationship with bigger credit card companies such as Chase or Amex. If you were to stop your credit card journey in tier 2, you're leaving so much money on the table. I mean, I'm sure it's better than tier 1 credit cards. It's actually credit cards that you could get rewards with, but you're missing out on so many things that are available in tier 3. Tier 3 is where things start to get interesting. You're paying your cards on time, you maybe have 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 credit cards at this point, and you're slowly building your credit score. You have now entered the friends with benefits zone. And in this tier, you start to see annual fees. And these annual fees usually range from $95 to around $250. And you're starting to pay annual fees now because you're starting to get benefits. There's a little spark between you and your credit score, and you guys, you got something going on. So you give a little bit like annual fee, and they give you a little bit of rewards and benefits and perks. Things are heating up for you and your credit score, where you start to earn points that you could eventually redeem for things like travel, cashback, or gift cards. Examples of credit cards in tier 3 are the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, Citi Premier card, and that's right, my personal favorite, the Amex Gold card. You're gonna have so much fun in this tier, and this is where you maybe become addicted to earning points, earning rewards. You start to become a point hoarder. This is where you could start traveling for free by just using points alone. As far as credit score goes though, you should be at least over 700. The mid 700s are better, but at least be over 700. Maybe even 690 would be acceptable, but 700 or above is probably the right spot to be in. Tier 3 credit cards are also when you start getting some pretty serious sign-up bonuses. You do usually have to spend more money, like $4,000 in 3 months, but the points or rewards you earn from it is well worth it. As long as you're not going into debt just to make the sign-up bonus. You're better than that. We've been over this. But with tier 3 credit cards, you better watch out. You might want to slow down, maybe, because you're starting to catch emotions, you're starting to get the feels. Maybe you're moving from liking to loving your credit score and the whole credit card game. And if you do, you might just find yourself in tier 4. In tier 4, you have an official relationship with your credit score, with your credit cards. Tier 4 is when things get serious, when your credit score is in the mid 700s, maybe in the high 700s. And if you're extra special, it's past that 800 mark. You can make a few mistakes here and there, but trying to limit those as much as you can, because if you don't, you'll end up in tier 3, 2, or maybe even 1 all over again. You've worked so hard, so don't screw that up. Examples of credit cards in tier 3 are the Amex Platinum card, Chase Sapphire Reserved card, and the Citi Prestige card. The annual fees here are absolutely massive, like we're talking over $400, even the $550 range. But you get crazy benefits like lounge access, purchase and insurance protection, food credits, travel credits, the list goes on and on and on. The sign-up bonuses are even heftier in here, bigger than the tier 3 ones. Again, you usually need to spend more money to hit that minimum spend requirement, but the bonus or the value from it is well worth it. If you are a travel enthusiast, this is the tier you want to be in because this is where you could get the most value out of your points. For most people, this is the end of the road, the end of the path, end of the relationship. You're just happy and satisfied in tier 4. And that's totally fine because this is a great place to be. But if you are the cream of the crop, the best of the best, then there's one more tier just for you. And that is tier 5, when you're officially married to the game. Unlike getting married to like an actual person, tier 5 is ultra exclusive and the only way you can get into it is by invite only. Examples of the cards in this tier are the Amex Centurion card or the Black card, and the JP Morgan Reserved card. These cards have insane annual fees, like tens of thousands of dollars, and they even have an initiation fee, which again is like thousands of dollars. For example, the annual fee of the Black card is $5,000 and the initiation fee is $10,000. That's $15,000 just to get a credit card. But of course, if you're invited into this tier, you really don't care. To be eligible to get the JP Morgan Reserved credit card, you have to have $10 million in assets or more with JP Morgan's private bank. The qualifications for the Amex Black card though are a little more unclear. For the most part, people have agreed that you have to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on like your Amex Platinum card or Amex Gold card each year. And it can't just be for travel or ads or office supplies. It has to be on luxury goods like jewelry, designer clothes, watches. So you can see why these cards aren't available to 99% of the public. In this tier, credit scores don't really matter. You don't need to have a credit score of 800 or 850 to get these cards. You just need to be rich. Honestly, that's all it comes down to. I'm sure though, if you are rich, you probably have at least a decent credit score, but you don't need to have the most amazing credit score out there. Well, that just about wraps up this video, and I hope you have a better understanding of where you are in the credit card ladder or the credit card journey. But there's no need to rush this process as it will take a long time. So that's why the earlier you start, the better off you'll be. Just like building a relationship with a person, it's gonna take a while. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you enjoy watching content just like this, please consider subscribing as well. And if you care at all, let me know what tier you're in or where you are in your credit card journey. I'm curious to hear. That's it though. Thank you again. Shoots.